the quote by John F. Kennedy is actually my favorite quote. Ask not what your country can do for you, but ask what you can do for your country. So much so, it's been the only thing in my social media bio ever since I started using social media. That's how much is my favorite quote. But tell us, what does it mean to you, and why is it important for Liberians to embody that quote?
I mean, it means everything to me, and maybe because one, I'm a development worker, and so I know the power of how collective effort can lead to fast national development. And so I'm just convinced from childhood, or I've just been convinced from childhood, that if we can take individual responsibilities as a country and not thinking that the country leadership, political leadership, is the way for national development, then I think we'll move forward. So every time I look at that code, it just re-energizes me that it's important for us to take on national leadership by ourselves in different ways. It could start at the community level, and yeah, it just means speedy development for me.
You have a huge past, a past that is very relatable, but at the same time, your story is very unique as well. You've always been a proponent of education throughout your life. You yourself were also a valedictorian several times in your high school career, graduated as such. What would you say allowed you to overcome the challenges that you experienced as you were growing up in order to be where you are today?
I mean, I think first and foremost is to just say, Prince, self discovery has been a powerful means of my journey, or a powerful determination of my journey. And because I'm one of those people who develop at a very young age, I remember being 14 years old and just discovering myself. And that discovery was tied around who am I, what do I want to be, or who do I want to be, and how can I be that person. So self discovery was a very key part of that joining, but also determination and courage, because there were serious times that I could back off and say, I'm done with this thing. But I said, you know what, I should keep pushing forward, because if I reach the point of self discovery where I now realize what I want, who am I, what I want, and how to achieve it, then there should be nothing that should stop me.
Many Liberians are always asking for opportunities to leave the country, uh, whether it's because they just graduated and need to go to school, whether it's because they just got, they feel like they just need to leave the country. Whatever the reason is, these people just want to leave Liberia, and they're very desperate for why they want to leave. But the thing that you will not find is that the number of people that are willing to return. So leaving is one thing, right? But if you're willing to return, it's perfectly understandable. If you're trying to leave because you want to better yourself to come back to your country and give back, is understandable. Now, contrary to that, a man like you was privileged to leave, get an education where you could have stayed in a different country, make, quote unquote, more money. But why did you decide to return to Liberia? Why is it important for you to be in Liberia working and applying the things that you've learned outside?
This is important. And part of what I want to say as, a way to respond to that is to firstly say the scholarship that I went on was never a government scholarship. So I'm saying that to say I was not obligated to return. I was not obligated to return. I returned on the basis of what I want to do, what kind of change I want to make. So I got the scholarship. First scholarship I got to leave this country was in 2020, when I was the first Liberian to receive the Mandela Rose Foundation scholarship to go to South Africa. That's the Mandela Rose Foundation scholarship, where the goal is to be able to gather the brightest young people across the continent and teach them models around leadership, reconciliation, entrepreneurship, and those kinds of different models, and give them the right opportunities in terms of education to empower themselves and come back to their country and be able to serve. Again, I had the opportunity to stay in South Africa, but I also had the opportunity to come back to Liberia. And because I'm passionate about how can we all contribute towards improving education, which I'm passionate about in Liberia, I decided to return.
You have been, it's not just your story that you've been a part of. You've also helped other people achieve a part of their goals by recognizing them. That's the first step sometimes. But those same people that your institution has recognized, those people have gone on, based on some of your recommendations and their association with your organization, they have gone on to do many things, many greater things, and are in positions today where they can give back to society. So what is the feeling like seeing those people succeed and knowing that you had a part to play in that? What is that feeling like for you?
Praise, that feeling is to say that's the reason I won't stop, right? Because for example, if I look at people like John Simway in 2017, when I met John Simway, by the way, John graduated from Bethesda Christian Mission School. I met John with the Liberia National Debate Championship, but then I volunteered at Youth for Change, and I helped John, Alex Divine and the organization. And then we left from here, we went to South Africa to represent the country as the national debate team of the country. But then we also recognized John because John was not just the most valuable debater, John was also the valedictorian of his school. So then we recognized John. Fortunately for John, John held a scholarship to go to Morocco. John went to Morocco. John became the president of the Morocco Students Association, and he worked closely with the embassy there. John graduated with his bachelor's degree, and he graduated with honor. John reached out to me. Remember, I was the first Mandela Rhodes Scholar. So John reached out to me and said, Brother Isaac, that Mandela Rhodes Scholarship that you were on in South Africa, can I apply? And I said, yeah, John, jump at it. Fortunately for John, we worked on John's application, and I can say here with it too much proud that Liberia have a student at the #1 university on the continent, University of Cape Town. So University of Cape Town, where John is doing international law, I can say it's a proud for me.
One of the things that attracted me to the work that you do, my man, I'm data driven. I'm very much about statistics, and I understand just exactly like you said, our country does not believe in the science of collecting data. We don't make informed decisions based off of data and what is actually happening, right? We make decisions based off of what we hear, how we feel, and what we think is right. And that most times is not effective. So your institution is pro data. You collect a lot of statistics, and some of it we have here. So these are the students. I believe these are the list of the 125 students, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So these are the students that you are going to be recognizing, and you have a program scheduled for the 30th of this month, which we'll talk about because you have some challenges as well. We'll talk about that. But I want you to tell us what goes behind the collection of this data, just briefly.
Yeah. So, I mean, the ideal is not to just award students. The ideal is how do we identify gaps in education or gaps in our country and make recommendation to how to solve them. So take, for example, there's one of the data that's been analyzed that talk about over 75% of high school students that are graduating from in this country. They don't have any experience, any service to their community. Wow. They have never given back to their community, even if it is cleaning up campaigns, study class, nothing. All they do, they go to school, they score the grades, and yeah, that's all for them. That's a challenge. The reason why that's a challenge, I did development studies, right? And I know that community development is the fastest way to national development. If you hear there's an argument where, in Ghana, you hear that from Liberians. In Ghana is developed because Ghanaians take on development initiatives by themselves. Now, the scenario in Liberia, you have a member of parliament or a government official, for example, who live in a specific community. The role leading to that government official's house, the role is extremely deplorable. But that official says, because he or she paid taxes, so government must be the one to come and fix that rule. Our point is, you also are government, because government is not just the people you think you elect. That's why I say government is for the people, by the people, right? So you can't come and say that you can make an intervention on that rule simply because, quote unquote, you are not a member of the government. Now, this is the root of what is that. If you have students who don't have a track record of community service, they will grow up realizing or thinking that I don't need to do anything. I just need to score my grades, right? We try to change that mentality to say, no, You as a valedictorian, you can go to your community and organize study class for the kids in the community. You as a valedictorian, you can go to your community if the youth chair or the youth leadership is not doing something, organize at least a community quiz program, a community spelling program, cleaning up campaign. Give back to your community in meaningful ways. Because if you do that, you are improving speedily development. Another very rare data that we share with you, last year we had over 80% of students graduating from 7 counties that never knew anything they call email in the 21st century.
Wow.
This year, we have over 68% of the students that are graduated from across the entire country. Prince, imagine someone who is a valedictorian, is a high school graduate, is around 16 to 18 years old, and you call them and tell them, Prince, hello, can you please send me your email? You went through the interview and we need to send you the interview result. And they say, when they got email? In the librarian way, right? When they got email, you know, you say email, yeah, I mean, you're trying to explain what email is. And you say you got to get email. And they say, no, send it on my Facebook. We said, no, when I was sending it, they say, oh, but brother, I said my email and my telephone number. I said, no, your email can be. So it's just terrible, right? Some of them who know what email is, so some of them know what email is, but they don't know how to use it. They've never used it before. They've never received email on it before. They've never forwarded mail before. They've never replied to mail before. They've never downloaded any attachment before. It's a terrible, I mean, terrible statistics.
Yeah,
because
and
most
those are
of
good.
these students,
Go
most
ahead.
of these students, Prince, hello?
Yeah, go ahead.
Most of these students, if you see the data that we share, most of them want to do international studies because imagine someone, majority of them want to be neurosurgeon, plastic surgeon, you know, electrical engineer. Someone want to be a marine engineer. There's so many big expectations they have.